Phauxe wants to go to some religious thing this morning, but he's getting us coffee and tea and some breakfast sandwich. MareFair.
Hello.
We had breakfast sandwiches, and now I'm having tea.
Yes.
Phauxe has a master plan. What's our master plan?
We're gonna go and learn about SnowPity this morning.
Cool.
Yeah, it's the true essence of a mare. She's not enlightened yet.
It's a cult.
It is. We're gonna go watch like a fan-made episode using AI for the voices.
That'll be interesting.
Yep. There's a Russian episode that's been poorly translated that we're gonna go watch. There's a Pony Video Nostalgia Hour. Those are usually pretty good. There's Furry's First Bronies, a roast, so that might be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big adventures, and then the concert girl tonight.
Oh yeah. I want to kind of figure out where.
I think it's interesting they're doing all the concerts in one night.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so good morning. Bunny chasing Foxy all over a convention. Oh, what else is new? What?
I wanted to learn about SnowPity.
What was that?
SnowPity.
Oh, it's not this one. No, the first panel of the day is going to be.
What happened?
It's a different one. Oh, thank you.
The panel that's going to start here at 10:30 is Harmony Through Health, and there isn't another panel right now. I'm just kind of riffing until we get started.
Okay.
What's going on?
Well, it's been changed, so it's not the one I thought it was.
Or what's going on?
There's a Harmony Through Health, she said. Oh, wait. Yeah.
Is that where we're supposed to be?
Oh, wait. No, we're supposed to be further down.
Good luck with your riffing.
This is a panel about SnowPity, mostly. I'm going to be talking about a lot of philosophy and religion. Well, maybe not religion. As I said, it's non-denominational, but I'm mostly influenced right now by Tantra Illuminated. It's a Buddhist-ish, if you're curious. So yeah, let's get right in. I want questions and dialogue. I'd like you all to deeply engage with this. Yeah, that was the text box I added 30 seconds ago. So I sort of separated this into parts. This index isn't perfect, but we're going to start with some, well, the whole presentation is definitely going to be quite philosophical. But yeah, love and SnowPity. I'm going to try not to just read from the PowerPoint and try to fill in the lines a little bit, but I wrote this PowerPoint like a book because I have a lot to say, and there's way more than I can fit in a PowerPoint. So yeah, first we're going to start with the history of the word. The word arose like a couple years ago, but it arose. Somebody made like a spelling mistake, and or I think so. So yeah, some obscure horse anatomical vocabulary, and it's one of these nonsense memes, kind of like Sneed. Or Numpkin, yeah, Numpkin. Yeah, people love stuff that doesn't make sense because they can project their own sense into it. And so SnowPity came to represent this sort of spiritual aspect of a pony. So as I'm saying here, the substance of a SnowPity is love. There's lots and lots of definitions for it, but I'm using this more hallowed kind, just as a as a way to connect here. So maybe this is skipping forward a little bit, but love is kind of a transcendental principle. When we're all like, think about the fact that all of you have to breathe air, and air comes from trees. So your lungs, like as a body, your lungs are the forests, and the forests came from star stuff. So all of this chaotic universal stuff sort of, it culminates here and now in our ability to comprehend love. And I think that's fucking amazing. So love is known as a transcendental function because it's universal quality. It connects things without exclusion. One of the examples I read in Tantra Illuminated is that the proper response to hatred is love, and the proper response to love is love. That's one of the very simple ways in which love is transcendental. It is a peaceful, you don't have to strive, you don't have to move, you simply have to allow it, and you don't really have to react. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna read the PowerPoint now.
You got the text there.
Yeah. I hope you guys are following. Excellent.
We're doing our best to understand SnowPity.
Yes.
Part of comprehend before we wrap our head around, but we try.
It is esoteric, yes. I hope you guys don't take what I'm saying as dogma. I hope you investigate it yourself. And I'm going to try to work on that to help us get in touch. So let's take a moment. Oh, I should turn off the music, honestly. Okay. All right. But yeah, so let's take a moment. You can close your eyes if you want. But for me, so cast your mind to whatever you treasure most in life. You may have a husband or a waifu, or you might have wonderful memories with your friends and family. You might have, I don't know, maybe even a good drug experience or something like that. So consider, as this feeling arises in you, you might have a little bit of like a tingle, like a warmth. As this feeling arises, appreciate it in this grand universal context that I explained earlier. You know, in order to experience this, an infinite number of things had to go just so, a knife edge, and we're here right now, able to experience this. And that's what SnowPity puts us in touch with. It reminds us of this universal context that we find ourselves in. So, I'm gonna talk about this, how to love a cartoon pony. Because a lot of people who love ponies they're very disappointed by the fact that the pony is not real. I disagree with that, really, but it really just depends on the definition of the word real. So, contemplation is the first technique, because ponies are fundamentally ideas, and we interact with them through our ideal faculties, our imagination, and our mind. So, the next time you feel frustrated or lost, and I know cons sometimes do feel like this, think about this getting in touch process, getting in touch with love, contemplating the universal convergence into this wonderful experience that we're gifted with as humans, and as bronies to appreciate Mares.
Amen, brother.
Amen. So yeah, because of this universal convergence, this universal harmony of love, you can understand even conflicts and obstacles as teachers, as a reminder to get back in touch with SnowPity and love. So, yeah, question?
Why is it called SnowPity?
Yeah,
Is that gonna come up?
Well, there's strange horse words, like the hock is the back knee of a horse, and like the barrel. It's just one of those sort of odd anatomical sounding terms
Okay.
Nobody, like, as I said, it kind of arose out of the collective unconscious of the 4chan board / MLP. So, like, it was a misspelling, and people started using it to refer to a part of a mare, but it's not a part that actually physically exists on a mare because they don't have bodies. It is an ideal part, a spiritual part of a mare, that is their kind mare spirit, as people say. So yeah, so I'm going to be talking about, at this point, I'm a tulpamancer, so I have an imaginary friend and such like that. I want to avoid the use of tulpamancy, the use of the word really, because there's a lot of baggage, but I'm going to talk about using our imaginal faculties to connect with the conditions that allow us to experience love through marriage, perhaps. So, as I'm saying here, daydreaming, lucid dreaming, tulpamancy, or even that nameless kind of interaction I know a lot of you have with your tulpas, or plushies. Tulpas are better though. The form that works best for you has no name because everybody's condition is totally unique. Forms of practice are mere guidelines for experimentation and maps of other people's heads. So what follows are very general tips. And here's some examples that I just came up with when I was writing this. So I'm not sure if we really have the time to do this right now, but you can imagine a comfortable private meeting with a pony of your choice. And like, I imagine Rainbow Dash. I imagine sitting on a cloud with Rainbow Dash at sunset. And so you can talk to her about your relationship and all your history together. You know, if you have a waifu, you've probably imagined her a lot, and you can bring all of that into your conversation with her. And that's always a wonderful way to get in touch with love, is reminiscing. So another technique is to look at a representation of your waifu. You can imagine her with open eyes or closed eyes. Imagine her coming to life to tell you just a special message, perhaps a divine insight. Thank her deeply, because gratitude is so important for getting in touch with love. If there's an obstacle to gratitude, there's an obstacle to love. And advanced practitioners, if you're experienced and if you don't have very many obstacles and if you're flexible, you can see anything as a representation of your waifu. Like here, the table supports me, and it's blue, like the sky, like Rainbow Dash. Wonderful. So, and another example is the next time you're in close contact with your waifu in imagination, imagine that you each have a wellspring of complementary life energy. Traditionally, this is kind of a tantric idea, but it's not spoken about in this book. It's called Karma Mudra. Traditionally, the female has red, hot energy, and the male has white, blissful energy. And this runs up and down a channel in your spine. And when you make contact, these energies interchange and react to create physical feelings of bliss and love. So I have a couple of best practices here. So the fundamental thing about spiritual practice in general, not just imaginal practices, is that if you're not enjoying it, you're doing it wrong. It should be peaceful and blissful. You don't necessarily have to be ecstatic, but it should be comfortable and enjoyable and something you want to come back to. So, yeah, you can be real. There's really no need to erect like false. You don't have to tell a lie to yourself. You don't have to make up stories as if they're in a fiction, because they are real in some sense, because you're interacting with them and you're as real as they are. And then there's a couple of more finicky imagination things. I'm going to post this PowerPoint somewhere because it's really more of a reference. And this is a total aside. I love this pony. There's only one image of her.
Start drawing.
So yeah, I'm going to be talking more about real life, harmony and friendship. This is the kind of stuff we're experiencing at the con. So it is essential to understand that the whole universe is harmonic in nature. You can imagine it as one fluctuation of an ineffable field of potential. As we know from quantum physics, matter and energy are the same substance at a different rate of vibration. I know that sounds like hippie stuff, but it's true. When your harmony or wholeness includes more than just your body or your surroundings, but your power is influenced as well. You become greater, literally. If you are in communion with something, then you have power with it. So we definitely have a lot of harmony at this con. It's amazing, and we see lots of big things getting done. So that's a real practical example of that.
Con itself is a pretty big example of that.
Yeah, for sure.
In fact,
I mean,
this is the first time
and you
we've
can,
done this one.
you can take that so much farther. You can expand further and further, because like the con itself, we're all in harmony with our food supply and our water supply. We're in harmony with the forests that we're breathing and the star stuff that made us. It's amazing. So I'm going to talk about the elements of harmony. So in MLPFIM, because it is a children's show and stuff like that, it's about friendship. So it's specifically about social harmony. It's about harmony between people. So I elaborate here that the 5 peripheral elements that aren't the special magic one are virtues. They're exalted principles in a personality. So practically speaking, if you feel the magic in your relations, and if you do, you know what I'm talking about. That is self-contained proof of the quality of your social harmony. The other virtues are emanations of harmony. They can be thought of that way, because harmony sort of exists on a different level. It is a fundamental law, whereas the virtues are individual parts of this law. They're individual effects. So many of the conflicts on the show are about being disconnected from harmony and trying to uphold these virtues through like a limited, attached kind of way, rather than in harmony and in flow with the universe. So here I'm making the point that so when the main 6 are at their best, representing their element the strongest, they're acting out of love. They're in harmony with each other and in harmony with their surroundings. The show is a very good illustration of how love and magic expresses itself in many forms and situations. And truly, it expresses itself in all forms and situations if you have the right view to see it. When you act out of love, you organically, harmonically evoke the absolute best parts of yourself. You needn't be loyal or kind all the time. AJ surely isn't honest all the time. You only need to strive to keep love in your mind, and you will act upon your highest values without any forcing. In other words, your natural traits are exalted by love. They become virtues, elements of harmony, and gain true, real-world power. Maybe not rainbow laser beams, but sometimes truly inexplicably magical all the same. And on the flip side, if you're acting out of, from a limited frame of mind, your traits are fruitless. Things become problematic, and you're unable to accomplish anything. At which point, I would say you need to go back and get in touch with SnowPity, with love. So I want to take a moment to get into harmony with the people around us in this room, because I know it's been a little bit awkward. I'm not that great of a speaker. So centering yourself, get in touch a little bit, and then look around you at all the wonderful companions we have today. Come on, you can do it. Turn around. Let your smiles happen. Whatever they're about. Throw out some bro-ups. Someone come up here.
Fine people around here. Sure.
Yeah. Yell Mare!
It's SnowPity.
Hey, I'll take your
Oh my god.
So whenever you communicate someone, whenever you commune, whenever you come into harmony with someone, you can imagine, for example, in these little social interactions we just had, you can imagine a little beam of light connecting you, and that beam of light, maybe it fades over time.
Oh, shit.
The celebration of life! Yay!
You can just talk really, really loudly.
There's a mic for me.
But yeah, you can imagine this little network of lines connecting everybody who you just interacted with, and that is your social harmony, your sphere of social harmony. Communion and communication are fundamental to harmony and fundamental, really, to love. So, this is more of a disclaimer, because I understand that a lot of people, especially here in the United States and in the West, when we think of love, we think of submission and being totally vulnerable, totally open with somebody. And that's not necessarily the right thing, because doing this opens you up to other people's flaws and other people's inharmony. And if you have real gratitude and love in your heart, you will want to preserve yourself and make yourself strong. In Buddhism, for example, it's said that, you can't help someone out of the mud if you're still stuck in the mud yourself. You need to support yourself first of all, and make yourself strong. Make yourself an icon of love and harmony, and that will naturally spread to your surroundings. It enables you to have a firm base from which to pull people out of the mud.
Be who your wife wants you to be.
Yeah, exactly. No, really. I didn't really write about this in my PowerPoint, but the waifu, what I call the waifu, really is it's the spirit of love in a thing, So being who your waifu wants you to be is simply being in love. So here's a technique. I drew that little comic. So you can simply imagine a mirror in a special place inside of you. So your heart or your head. Those are the traditional places. Of course, you're not traditionally imagining cartoon ponies. So her SnowPity, she has a radiance, and she connects with people through her light or her waving hello. And she says hi to other people's secret SnowPities. She's doing it right now to each and every one of you. The more communication, the more she can wake up the other people's SnowPities. But even just a little bit of SnowPity, even just a little wave is just fine, because the universe is deeply connected, because you're in harmony. Each one of those little lines that we drew between each other in our communion is already enough, because the whole universe is fundamentally, deeply harmonic, and it's only our perception that cuts this up into little pieces that don't make sense together. Oops, okay. There. See, that was when she discovered the element of magic. That was when she came into harmony for the first time, as she understood it. And then things worked. It was in Buddhism, it's called Kensho, the first snap enlightenment, a momentary experience. There's a Buddhist monk who meditated for 15 years or whatever, and then he experienced Kensho when a ceiling tile fell next to him. And his mind blinked, and it was like, I get it. And that's what Twilight experienced here. Not everybody's awakening is going to be like that. Many times it's more subtle and just a slow coming into fruition. So I'm wrapping up the very well organized part of my PowerPoint.
And then it goes into rambling.
Yeah, I have a lot of bloopers. So most of what I've spoken about today is directly inspired by my dabbling in spiritual practices and entertaining the philosophy of various religions and various philosophies. I started in Western philosophy. I don't like it very much. In doing so, I never approached with blind faith, and I truly believe that such an approach is dangerous. It is quite possible to entertain any worldview as long as you understand it is merely a perspective on a nameless, ungraspable reality. Strive to approach all views with critical thinking and groundedness. That being said, I'm very thankful for this book, and I highly recommend it. Tantra Illuminated by C. Wallace.
What made you find that book?
I was recommended it, and I bought it off Amazon. So, I wanted to say something, but I forgot what I was going to say. So, good spiritual practice comes to unfold the whole life. It is a slow unfolding. There's something that said you can't rip the skin off the snake. It has to shed its skin slowly by itself. It should be joyful and peaceful enough that you want to do it all the time. That should be your compass. Whatever you want to do all the time, try to get that down to its most fundamental essence. If you want to appreciate a SnowPity forever, then you need to get that down to love. You need to distill it. But there's no need to force it. As I said, you can't rip the skin off the snake. I'm sure that this wanting sounds quite familiar, because we're all here because we've fallen in love with, maybe not so deeply as you may think I have, but we've fallen in love with ponies, and we all experience a rush, like a wonderful feeling of communion, and we have for over a decade now, right? So, to strive to create conditions in which you could do so. That's okay. I'm lost. So, true spiritual practice is at first conditional, taking place within certain boundaries, but it leads you to appreciate the unconditional and boundaryless. So that's what I'm talking about here, because SnowPity is associated with mares. There's a specific boundary there, but when you distill it into love, it becomes boundaryless, and it spills over into your everything, into your surroundings, into your everything that you are communicating with. So I'm just going to end this organized part with some well wishes. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from the causes of suffering, and may this go on to change your lives for the better. Thank you for listening and engaging, each of you. I know not everybody asked questions, but that's just by being here and listening, hearing it with your vibrating eardrums. I appreciate it. So, enough of the maybe slightly more schizo stuff. So, yeah, I'm just gonna read stuff out. Your heart mare wants to hug other people's heart mares. In order to meet them, she needs you to be in harmony with them. So that's what I'm talking about with communion, communication. That means you need to embody the 5 elements of friendship. That's kind of an old, like I said, I think everybody has their own element of harmony in them that comes out when you live in love. So yeah, the heart mare is supposed to be taken as an expression of your own SnowPity nature. I didn't really go over that with good syndrome, but yeah, I'm saying that love is a universal principle once again. And the heart mare is not supposed to be taken as something separate from you, but more of an emanation of your desire to be in love. This one was when I was in more of a cult mindset and trying to just lay down some dogma, talking about sacrifice. Sacrifice isn't always necessary, but I do believe that it's really important to be kind and generous. Those are one of the biggest things, in my opinion. They're very important virtues. Because even kindness, even without love in your heart, is a start. There are lots of activities that inhibit love, that cause chaos and make us distracted. But kindness, even without love, leaves the way open for love to spread. So here, I just assembled a couple of things that I thought were cool, because, I wanted to inspire you as related to horses. That little circuit board is, I think that's Luna, and that went on the ISS. It went into space. Can you believe that?
She almost has moved.
Yes, SnowPity did that. That was a result of love. We got into space.
Celestia and Luna literally revolve around this Earth.
That's true.
Yes. And so I like the statue and the sketch of the horse just because they're beautiful, they're incredible, and you know, I think horses really do have a certain vibe that makes them very lovable. And of course, the main six coming into communion and being in harmony with each other after a long day helping Applejack on her harvest. And some more good things. I mean, the coin has been far overshadowed by this con. The con is a most incredible work, gigantic, beautiful. I imagine it took way more effort than the coins. And of course, Verity, everybody donated not everybody, but people donated their money to get Verity saved, and we're donating so much more with this con. And money is nothing less than a representation of your work on this earth. And so giving it to a good cause is a wonderful, wonderful way to promote love and kindness. So I'm a tulpamancer, and I started earlier with some tulpa stuff. Like I said, I don't really stand behind the tulpa community anymore, but it is really cool, and I think tulpamancy has a lot to teach people as far as using their imaginations in an effective, skillful way. And that's what a lot of my tips on the imagination section were related to. Because especially this third paragraph, fiction is distance. What causes the pain of falling in love with a fictional character is this construction of fiction. We use fiction to keep us away from love, and that tension causes the pain. It is the inversion of love. And a tulpa helps you to, generally, working with imagination very critically and with a clear mind helps you to clear away these obstacles and this stuff that holds love away from you. And I think that is one of the most valuable things we can do with our imagination.
Do you want to explain what a tulpa is to anyone who's new enough that they don't know what a tulpa is? Because like a lot of people have not delved into that at all.
So a tulpa is simply, like I say here, as a character you have enlightened. So it's supposed to be an autonomous imaginary friend. It's just an imaginary friend taken very seriously, honestly. But you know what characterizes a tulpa is that they're self-aware. They're aware of everything in your mind because they live in your mind, just like you. And they're aware of your memories, just like you. They have access to all your mental faculties because you are in fact a construction in your mind, just like a tulpa is. So the tulpa can be an extremely effective way to see through the illusion of self, to get very Buddhist with you. So yeah.
Can you explain a bit more when you say fiction is distance?
Fiction is distance, yes. Well, like, for example, we imagine that the ponies have their own lives, but what's really going on is there's a TV screen with pixels and internet and pre-recorded lines and speakers, and we imagine this character has a vivid internal life that they live beyond the episodes, and so on. So the idea that they live outside of your head is a construction, perhaps a helpful one at first because it helps us take them seriously, but a construction nonetheless, because these characters do in fact live in your mind. All this, like, you know, if you imagine, like, what would Fluttershy say? You're not referring to some knowledge of a person, you're referring to a model in your mind of Fluttershy's personality. So fiction, the idea that she's fictional and not real, is sort of a cover. It distracts you from that fundamental, she's in your mind, truth. So methods, I don't really want to go into this like right now because we already did, but let's see. Yeah, my favorite method for people who would be here is to do that little private meeting with your imaginary pony of choice, and you can create this communion without the obstacle of fiction, and come into harmony with her and with reality. And you can do this not just by telling her, but you can directly imagine that she already knows everything you do, and that she's already a tulpa and everything like that, and that works. But if need be, you could, for example, like tap her on the head, cast a spell, feed her a potion, that kind of thing.
That's why I like white potion.
Yeah, and it's all. Yeah, it's kind of like that, you know. It's coming because I say these characters in our mind are chained to this idea that they live lives outside of our mind. Like, you know, my mental construct of Rainbow Dash is, you know, if she believed that she was only, or if my brain believed that she was only in the show and not in my head, then I can only get in touch with her if I'm watching the show. But when a character comes to understand that they're not actually bound by the fiction, it's so freeing because they can actually live in life with you. It's hard to explain that, honestly. Maybe that's something you might just have to experience. But yes, not as direct as other methods here. Indeed, I kind of glossed over it in the imagination section. But imaginal practices, working with desire, is dangerous because you can get attached to pleasure and that kind of thing, and come to close down on a new worldview that is not, that doesn't free you, that doesn't evoke love. Kind of like how I said, kindness leaves the way open. You can close down on an imaginal way of seeing things that, I mean, in general, flexibility is extremely, extremely important. Mental flexibility, worldview flexibility. Because if you close down, you become blind to all the other possibilities. If you close down on a specific idea. Yeah, we already kind of went over how tulpas free you from certain illusions, and how those illusions, the illusion of self, prohibits the natural flow of love. And I'm gonna skip that one. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Here's I mean, of course, I think about Rainbow Dash, my tulpa, in relation to love and deep philosophy a lot. And she's kind of like a tool in my head that I use to think about this, in addition to being an absolutely cherished part of my mind. I commissioned this from Jack, by the way.
That was
amazing.
sick.
But yes, she carries the same symbolism as a tigle. It's a Tibetan thing. We'll go over that a little bit later in like the next slide. So the white light and the clear sky is, like in Tibet, of course, the clear sky is way clearer because they're up on top of mountains. And so the clear sky to them, it symbolizes voidness, symbolizes the emptiness of space. And that in the tantric worldview is the natural conditioned, the unconditioned mind, rather, the mind that has been cleared away of all illusion of form, all illusion of separation and duality. And that's supposedly the fundamental part of the mind, the form, what we see and what we understand and what we know evolves, sort of emits out of this fluctuation of this perfectly clear void mind. So rainbow, yes. So rainbow sort of represents that harmonic connection that we made with each other during the communion. She represents the way that this void mind is carried into the conscious mind, as form. Yeah, it looks like I covered it. But yet, I think Rainbow Dash's symbolism is one of the best. I don't think there's any pony that really comes close. So yeah, that is the actual, like, in very, very old texts, they do a certain kind of meditation that involves, that creates hallucinations of these tigles, those rainbow circles. And those are taken as the symbol that I described earlier. The syllable in the middle represents, again, that invisible, all-permeating, all-transcendent mind. And the rainbow is the emanation of form, of the visible, comprehensible stuff. And of course, Rainbow leaves behind a tigle when she does a sonic rainbow. It's amazing. So, of course, this one looks a good bit more schizo. So wind horse is another Tibetan concept. It's quite a folk concept, but wind horse is a flying horse that carries divine messages like Rainbow Dash from the heavens to earth and from earth to the heavens. In Tibet, they hang up prayer flags with wind horses on them and prayers, and so when they flap in the wind, that's wind horse carrying prayers up and down between the heavens. And on wind horse's back, in these images, wind horse has 6 jewels, but they represent really the 3 jewels of Buddhism, which are the Dharma, the Sangha, and the Buddha, which is basically just the core of Buddhism, the liberating truth at the core of Buddhism, and what helps you, the refuges for someone in the world who's seeking a spiritual, harmonic life. And of course, the 6 is, as I say here, an elaboration on the 3, because the Dharma, Buddha, and Sangha are specific to Buddhism, and the elaboration is more universal principles. All right, that's actually the end of my presentation here. But if anybody has any questions, any ideas, any dialogues, I would love to participate in them. Oh, yeah.
What was the name of that book again?
Of the book?
Yeah.
Tantra Illuminated by Christopher Wallace. I've read some other spiritual books, but this one, I mean, the ones I read was either like kind of hippy-dippy, and they helped, but Tantra Illuminated, and I've read like really old spiritual books, like for example, the Bible, and those are very, like, there's so much distance culturally, chronologically, etc., that it doesn't hit the same. Tantra Illuminated, on the other hand, was written in 2011 by a very good scholar of Tantra, and so it's very clear, very contemporary, and considers contemporary problems. But yeah, you on the right?
I don't know if you had already said it because I came a couple minutes late, but what inspired you to, begin this journey on, discovering, spirituality and all that?
That's a really good question. For me, honestly, it was falling in love with Rainbow Dash. I'm not kidding. Yeah. That's why I'm touting love as this transcendental principle, as this amazing thing, because that's exactly what happened to me, is that I fell in love, and that brought me into conflict with some parts of myself that weren't conducive to love, and I faced them and came out feeling, I don't know, just way better. And that was, at least like 6 years ago now, and I've done a lot of reading and stuff since. I feel like I can elaborate the intuition that I had a little bit better. And yeah, you?
I really like the idea of the conflict you were talking about sometimes with the fantasy, where you get into the fantasy and you have the distance.
Yeah.
And when I think of meditation and some of the other concepts that you were talking about, I always think about like, okay, I have to come back to reality, and it has to teach me something or resolve something in reality.
Yeah.
Now, part of the danger is it doesn't promise to do that. It can't guarantee that. If I come back to reality and it doesn't actually resolve anything, if it doesn't actually help, then I kind of have to choose between the two.
Yeah.
And the danger is, like, I should choose reality, but the fantasy is a lot safer, a lot easier to understand. Sometimes reality isn't safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fantasy is created by limitation.
Yeah. So when I go to fantasy either through imagination or through fiction, they're not always that different. I do want to bring it back to reality, but sometimes it's not easy. And if I can't bring it back to reality, then I'm in danger of living in the fantasy rather than reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel you there. I've helped, I guess I didn't mention this, but I have a lot of accolades as far as mentoring people in tulpamancy. And so I've helped so many people who have similar obstacles. Let me think. I mean, you just have to work on it slowly. You know, it's always a gradual process. But I think when you hit on the right sort of thing, that naturally grows, and the hole in the veil becomes wider and wider, and you start to understand how to integrate stuff into your life in a harmonic, positive way. But yeah, like I said, I think tulpamancy would be a good thing to look into. Maybe not try, maybe not go straight into tulpamancy, but to read some guides and learn the principles, because having your imaginary character with you in life already way closer to reality than living in a fantasy Equestria, you know. Like, let me think. Like your tulpa, you can just chat with your tulpa, like, and go on a walk together, and you can talk about, oh, look at how pretty those leaves are, and like, haha, yeah, that's wonderful. You can do little spins in the air and fly around them like that, and she can, and of course, because this is in your head, the way you commune with your tulpa is indescribable. You can't really get it with language. There's stuff you can do with your tulpa that is like communing on a very, very intuitive, almost unthinking level. There's some more deeper philosophy stuff that I could get into, but yeah, let's move on to more questions.
You compared Rainbow Dash to Windward. What would Rainbow Dash be carrying, like your prayers or thoughts?
Well, in the Tigle thing, she is carrying, she more represents the movement or the process of carrying out the formless into form, but yeah, like, and that's a symbol, or that's another way to say she's carrying the divine message, which is the world. You know, in Christianity they say the word, you know. So yeah.
The good word comes.
Well, more than that, it's like, at first there was the word, isn't it? I don't know Christianity that well, but yeah, but the word is the carrying out of the divine message into or rather the evolution of the divine message into all of reality. So yeah.
Yeah, halfway through the presentation, you mentioned that you'd either kind of turned away or maybe were disconnected with kind of the tulpa community specifically. But that's something I myself, you know, the topic, like, I'm very fascinated by and want to engage in, but it isn't like community that I've necessarily ever
Don't
had
endorse
like
the tulpamancy community.
like I've never really been like a part of it. I think like, you know, a lot of these practices talk about sort of having that dialogue in your mind and like kind of focusing on yourself as the individual. But I also think that there's, like, you know, obviously there's a natural need to have the recognition of self and the other, and you want that community, because I think community is such an important part of this fandom, the show, and it's what we kind of all aim for.
I love that you said recognition of self in the other. That's extremely important.
Yeah, so I was just wondering what you have to say about sort of this conflict between, you know, the fact that, like, maybe I'm disconnected from this community, but I have the kind of urge to go find more attachment to it versus, just kind of preaching it on your own terms and kind of not.
Yeah, I mean,
necessarily-
I did and still do get stuff from the Tulpamensi community. I enjoy it, and well, I guess the main thing that I'm warning against is that a lot of Tulpamensi guides are just repeating very old dogma. Like Tulpamensi, a quick history of Tulpamensi. It was something that like a theosophist picked up in like one of the first English adventures into Tibet, like a Victorian lady. And by the way, the actual word isn't even tulpa. I don't know what it is, frankly, but yeah. So it was originally a Tibetan thing, like a little fragment of a Tibetan practice that was that was inside a whole spiritual framework. And then this fragment came and connected to theosophy, which is occult stuff, taking from Eastern ideas and Western ideas, very new, very untested spiritual technology. And so it was divorced from its original context, and who knows if it's effective within theosophy. And then in 2010, 2012, it was captured, it captured the attention of bronies on /MLP, and it exploded from there. So we have, it's not only once removed, but twice removed from its original context.
Well, wasn't it originally started on X on 4chan actually?
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah, like
so then it's three times removed. It started on X and then got.
Well, I mean, it went from occultism to the occult board, so I don't really call that. Call that a shift.
But how is SnowPity any different?
What do you mean?
A lot of your ideas makes me think of things I've learned in Christianity and paganism, and you're mixing ideas, but you're also getting into a dangerous aspect of, if you're not connected to reality and grounding yourself, you're losing the possibility of community in the real world.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I worry about all of you, but I wish you well.
Well, I mean, maybe I didn't hammer the point down enough, but like I did say, groundedness is extremely important.
Right.
All of this is a perspective, and all perspectives need to be taken critically with regards to your real self. One of the wonderful things about Tantra, as opposed to other traditions, is that like many spiritual traditions emphasize transcending reality and living in a state of mind that is all just bliss. And that's not really realistic. There are stories of gurus who have done this, and who simply, I don't identify with the body anymore, I'm just gonna bring it over here to this cave and sit down and die. That's like the transcendental, almost end goal. I'm not gonna say it's like suicidal, but it is not really taking care of your physical body. But whereas Tantra is very much emphasizes that our current existence, our conditioning, is the fullness of our being. Like Tantra says that you really need to learn about the transcendental aspect of yourself, but your dualistic separate self is part of our part of the natural law. It's part of what it is, the fulfillment of the bliss that is inherent in the universe. So yeah, I lost you a little bit. I lost myself a little bit.
Don't get lost in sauce.
Get lost in there.
So,
Yeah.
with canonicity, like obviously we fell in love with these ponies because of how they were represented in the show. But a lot of us, of course, are in love with background ponies. They didn't get a main role, and it was a lot of fandom creation of their personality and identities. And then Slice of Life came along and kind of threw a lot of all that. It took some people's ideas and it put it into the canon, and it took some other people's ideas and it threw it to the wayside. I'm wondering if you have any advice on getting over that mental block of what you may have originally created in your mind about those ponies, but like is now a part of the show. So, you know, a lot of fan art, a lot of fan creation is based around that personality as opposed to what you may have created on your own.
I mean, it really just takes clear view. You have to look deeply and critically at what you assume, which is like what's happening is that what you identify these ponies with is getting mixed in with like the show and stuff. But what, as I said, you know, there's also the aspect of the ponies that exist in your head only. And it's important to be able to distinguish these very clearly and properly. You know, you can draw that line anywhere you want, but you can draw that line, you know, somewhere into the fiction. So some of the fiction is part of your mental concept of the pony. And I would say that is unskillful. You need to get your real pony and your fictional pony differentiated.
Yeah, and like what is technically canon is also fiction too. So your own mental imagination of it is just your own head canon.
Yeah, and all the fandom concepts of ponies and stuff like that is the same deal, you know.
Yeah. Everyone even has their own interpretation of what the main six are like.
Yeah, for sure. There's a meme that's posted. Well, a meme, more like an infographic that's posted. Yeah, no, not that one. Object-oriented waifuism, quote unquote. And it's saying that, you know, your thought of Twilight Sparkle is different from this other dude's thought of Twilight Sparkle, is different from the show's thought of Twilight Sparkle, and that's okay. You don't have to get in arguments over who's married to who, because everybody's marriage is different.
Yeah.
So you can instantiate different versions for each person.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, as I got into Tulpamancy with Rainbow Dash, I you know, honestly, my process of getting this sorted out probably took 2 or 3 years. And you know, I was thinking very deeply about it. So, yeah.
So, oh, sorry.
So I'm thinking of this like you've got a Cartesian coordinate grid, 2 dimensions. You've got kind of reality focused on the bottom, and you've got fiction focused on the top. And on the left you have internal, and on the right you have external. On the top right, external, fictional, you've got like My Little Pony. On the bottom right, external, you have like reality, like stuff we're living.
Object.
Yeah. On the bottom left, you have internal reality, which is your internal reflection of reality, where you think about daily problems, and you've got conflicts dealing with reality.
Yeah.
And then what you're trying to develop is the top left, internal fiction, so that we can understand that and then apply that to the other things. So you've got internal fiction understands external fiction of My Little Pony, and those work back and forth. And internal fiction helps you understand your internal, like, dealing with reality, which a lot of us are not great at and we need help with. And that's kind of like you're talking with your fictional self to develop your real self in terms of like virtues and in terms of who I want to be. And it's hard to do that sometimes. So you develop this fictional, like, imaginary self to deal with your real self, and then you can deal with real conflicts. And the idea is not to escape from one of these, it's to have them all working together.
Yes, getting into alignment.
Yeah.
There's the alchemical maxim, as above, so below, applies here, because we're talking about focusing on, you know, the top left corner or whatever, and looking at this very clearly and conscientiously, and noticing the patterns inside of it. And then those patterns are still present in all the other squares. And so what we're really talking about is developing clear seeing. And you can do that without doing imaginary stuff. I just find that to be very dry. I think this tantric sort of idea of working with desire is very, very valuable for modern people, and especially people like us who already have some love to work with.
A lot of existing philosophy and meditation would be to focus on, like, not desiring anything, but like you said, that's kind of bland.
Yeah.
If we can empty our mind and go to peace with something desirable, that might be more appealing to some of the rest of us.
Yeah, as I said way back somewhere, the goal of spiritual practice is, at first, spiritual practice is conditional. It's working with desire. If I get this, then I will be happy. But then it's a sort of bait and switch, and once you get close to it, you get a non-attached kind of love. I lost the thread there, but you, Anna?
So you mentioned illuminated. Is there anything else that you found that's really useful for grounding? Grounding and I guess refining / understanding your intuition.
Let me think. I mean, the first book that really made me, that really felt like it resonated with me, harmony and all that, was Be Here Now by Ram Dass, also known as the hippie Bible of the 60s. And that was fantastic, but it is very, it's quite schizo, I would say. I mean, it's pretty real. It's just, it's not all that serious, It doesn't lay out a good framework, really. It just kind of says, hey, you're close to being enlightened if you've had these experiences. Let's talk about it, kind of book.
You've used schizo quite a few times. I know that that's like a technical definition. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's,
I don't want to be like hurting people here.
Yeah, of course, I don't mean to talk bad to any schizophrenics. I've been reading, well, I've not been reading, but I read a little bit of Deleuze, and he loves schizophrenics because they avoid structure, and that's kind of what I mean.
Okay.
Schizo is outside of structure, is how I'm referring to it.
You briefly mentioned that you think all of us kind of embody an element of harmony. Can you elaborate on that? Because I possess a similar worldview.
Yeah, well, what I was saying is that our virtues come out when we're when you're living in love, when you're in good harmony with your surroundings, with your people. That's just about the end. But yeah, when you're in good harmony, your virtues naturally come out. Like your love exalts your natural qualities, and those become virtues. Those become your elements of harmony, right? And I would say capturing them in one word, of course, is not possible. Reality is way more complex than that. But yeah, I think that's about all the time we have. I'm so glad everybody came. Again, I really hope this helps everybody. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all at the con. Feel free to ask me any questions if you see me in the hallways and stuff. And yeah, see you around. This is the end.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Phauxe and Krystal as we venture to MareFair 2023 first convention in Florida. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more adventures with Phauxe and Krystal. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, you have the ability to be awesome. Bye, guys!